How's it going, everyone? I'm Keegs, and today we're going to be talking Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Now, this is going to be all of the spoilers, so if you want a quick spoiler-free review, you can click up here, but for now, let's talk Doctor Strange. So, this movie starts off with an unknown girl who we later find out is America Chavez, and she's running with Doctor Strange through this space between universes in order to get some book. Ultimately, Doctor Strange ends up betraying this girl and tries to kill her and take her power. But yes, he wanted the power, but what I liked is that it showed that he did want to save the universe still. So even his last dying act after he was stabbed through the heart was to send out his last bit of magic to cut America free and let her go into another universe. But it didn't show him just wanting to be power hungry. He knew at the end the only way to save the universe was to let her go, so that's exactly what he did. America ends up finding our Doctor Strange in this universe, and I thought for sure she's going to have some reservations about trusting another Steven after what the last one tried to do to her, but honestly, she kind of played it off like a champ and was like, you know what, I have a couple hesitations here or there, but really they kind of brushed past it and just got on with the plot and to the good stuff, which I actually appreciated. I didn't really need a great scene of watching her slowly start to trust him, even though that's what kind of happened through the movie. It wasn't belabored on all the time. Onto the plot though. So I did not expect Wanda to go full-on villain in this, and I mean there was no morally gray area in this really. She was just a villain. When Steven was walking through the cherry blossoms with her apple trees and she said America's name, I was about to roast this movie because I was like, I really don't think he ever mentioned that. But of course, that was actually part of the plot, and Doctor Strange picked up on it too. And then it turns out that, yeah, she's been pretty evil. She's got her head really deep into the dark hold, and she is, she's not doing so good. Steven did mess up and told her where they were keeping America, but I really don't understand why the first thing he did was not to immediately move her from that location when he got back. I mean, literally just portal there, say, oh, we gotta go, and portal her somewhere else. I think that would have been the smart thing to do, especially since I really feel like they didn't actually have a plan to deal with Scarlet Witch. I mean, they created this giant shield, but that was about it. They had a couple cannons, and as soon as she broke through the shield, though, I mean, it was like there was no pushback at all. Honestly, a little disappointing from an entire academy of super powered wizards or sorcerers or whatever, and they're not able to even slow her down. I thought, come on, you gotta do better than that, man. Then they get to the first different universe, and this is where things really started to get crazy. I loved seeing different universes' ways of doing things, and they go on red and things like that. I thought were really interesting. I kind of wish we had a little bit more of that, but eventually they end up meeting his old pal Mordo, and true to Mordo, he drugs them and then puts Steven on trial in front of the Illuminati, which is this world's version of the Avengers. It was amazing seeing all these cameos, and I thought John Krasinski did a really good job as Reed Richards, and I thought his suit looked perfect. But overall, these guys are the worst. I mean, they give him some story about how their Doctor Strange messed up, and they came back to him and was like, oh, yo, sorry, I messed up. And then they killed that Doctor Strange, which, I mean, that's kind of my first, hold up, what are you doing? Very, very much reminded me of The Watchmen. If you remember that movie, at the end of that, it just had very Watchmen-esque vibes to me. But then they said they don't trust our Doctor Strange because their Doctor Strange messed up a couple times, and they're like, yep, we're gonna kill you too, or whatever. And I just thought, what? How does that make any sense? Just because this other guy did something bad and he has some vague similarities to this guy, then this guy's automatically bad too? I mean, that just seems like BS to me. And they obviously didn't believe him about the giant threat that Scarlet Witch was. And so really, they're just kind of dumb too, with the exception of Professor X, who, good on you, man. At least we got one fairly reasonable person in this universe. And now we get to the scene that I think will be the most talked about scene in the movie. Like a page ripped straight out of The Boys, Scarlet Witch removes Black Bolt's mouth with her super magic powers, and he screams, and it blows his head up from the inside. And if that did not scream The Boys to you, I don't know what will. I was 1,000% not ready for this scene, and I was just kind of stunned for a second and shocked. And then I realized, okay, that's what this fight's gonna be here. I get it. This is the exact scene where Omni-Man destroyed his entire team. I mean, she shreds Mr. Fantastic and pops his head at the end too, which is crazy. And then she also cuts Captain Carter in half with her shield. Whoa. The only one I didn't actually really understand was how she took out Captain Marvel. I feel like she arbitrarily lost her powers and then a giant rock fell on her. I mean, obviously Scarlet Witch pushed the rock, but even still, why did she lose her powers? I didn't quite get that. It felt like they were just kind of brushing past her. I feel like Captain Marvel is supposed to be a lot stronger than that though. So if someone wants to explain exactly what happened there, I would be very interested to know down in the comments. Wanda'S power in this also was a ginormous power-up. I mean, she went to being a pretty solid Avenger to possibly the strongest person in the entire multiverse. I mean, ultimately, nobody even was able to beat her at the end. She just kind of gave up. I was a little disappointed that Professor X also didn't do a little bit more in Wanda's mind. I thought it would have been cool to see him as a slightly stronger Professor X, because I feel like he paused her for a brief second, but he did nothing else. He couldn't even get other Wanda out of the rubble. I also thought for sure that Wanda, the other Wanda, at some point would take her body back, or at least fight our Wanda a little bit and kind of slow or halt our Wanda's movements. I thought there was going to be some pushback or fight from that Wanda, but I mean, honestly, she just seemed really weak in this one, though. Maybe that's why she's not on the Illuminati councils, because she's kind of the weak version of Wanda. I mean, even mentally, she couldn't get out from a rock. Come on, man. You got to be a little better than that, I feel like. But either way, I think that scene, we were all yeah, she's a full-on villain now. She might have been able to be redeemed after the attack on the sorcerers, but I don't think she's able to be redeemed after what just happened there. And honestly, it kind of makes you wonder, was Agatha Harkness right in WandaVision? If she took the powers from the Scarlet Witch, would she have been less of a threat to the multiverse? I think she might have been. I think we should have all been rooting for Agatha to win, because I think the way it went was potentially even worse for the multiverse. Anyways, Dr. Palmer and Doctor Strange end up in a new multiverse, and they meet evil Doctor Strange here, who has revealed that he has been offing other Doctor Stranges because they're unhappy, and he doesn't like them being unhappy, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, they end up in this awesome music battle, which is probably my favorite battle in the entire movie. I thought it was really, really well done and so creative and interesting. And I loved how the different kinds of music were playing as they threw notes back and forth through each other. So I kind of wonder, was that music playing for them as well, or just us as the audience? It was part of the score. I feel like it was playing for them as well. I feel like they could hear the music going when they were throwing those notes back and forth. Really a great scene. And then it ends with that evil Doctor Strange getting impaled on a fence. And my God, I feel like this movie really pushed the boundaries of a PG-13 movie. I mean, anything more, just a little bit more, and I think it was going to be pushed to an R rating. If they had showed Captain Carter getting actually cut in half, I think that's it. I think that puts it over the edge to an R rating. And good on you. I'm glad you just went for it and just went all out there to make a good, entertaining movie, and I really do appreciate that. And you weren't really pulling any punches, so I do not envy all of the parents that took their real young children to this movie because it's a fun Marvel movie, and now they're up all night with kids that are having nightmares about Doctor Strange getting impaled on a fence. I mean, the amount of jump scares alone I thought was enough to startle me even a few times. And I heard somewhere that this was their first kind of take on a horror genre, and I think they did a great job with that horror aspect to it, and I think it would really set them up for like a dark Avengers storyline or something with the more mystic arts, I want to say, but like evil mystic arts, and Doctor Strange can definitely be part of that. He might end up being the leader of that, but I think that this is really kind of what they're aiming to do, and push the boundaries a little bit of what a Marvel movie could be and break a little bit from the campy style. And not that it's campy, any of them really, but it's a little more lighthearted than this one is, I think. That was basically the only other multiverse we got to see them in, and I do wish we had seen them in a couple more different universes where they had to figure out what was going on and act normal and figure out, how all these universes act. But I guess we had the one scene where they were falling through all the different layers and all the different universes until they got to one. And so we saw a bunch of them, but we didn't get to see them in those ones, really. So I just wish we had a little bit more of that. I know that the runtime for this movie was kind of on the shorter side, so I think you could have put another 10-15 minutes in there of like two more universes that you don't have to have a big story arc there, but you can see them like running through different universes or something just passingly as they're fighting monsters. And I thought something like that would have been really interesting to see. I think America had a surprisingly tiny role in this movie. I was expecting something more, but we only got like one very passing scene about her backstory with her parents and stuff. But other than that, she was really just kind of there to move the plot forward. I think if Doctor Strange had found like an inanimate object that could warp people through universes, the story of this would hardly have changed. I thought at the end we would see her open a portal to see her parents, since now that she can do it on will, it seems. But nope, we didn't get anything more of her. Though, I mean, I guess the movie was a Doctor Strange movie and not an America Chavez movie. So, it's all about him learning to trust someone else. So I guess maybe she shouldn't have been in the spotlight. And, at the end we saw like, oh, good job. He finally learns to believe in someone else and hand the scalpel off, as you may say. I do also want to mention how awesome it was to see him take the souls and use them to form wings. I thought that was the most badass scene in the movie, and I was really glad for it because I feel like up until this point, it had mostly just been magic we had already seen or just like his standard typical spells, nothing really new and innovative until that scene where he kind of took the dark energy power and learned to control it. I also don't believe the incursions that, just if one person was on another universe, that was going to cause them both to collide and explode or whatever. I think that's a BS cop-out for them not wanting to take Dr. Palmer into the other universe. I mean, hell, we even saw in the What If series that the Watcher took Black Widow and put her in literally a different universe where that Black Widow had died, and then she was just able to live on. And you could say, oh yeah, the Watcher was a god, so he plays by different rules maybe. I don't know. It seemed a little fishy to me, and I did not buy it. So let me know down in the comments, what is the reason? Like, what causes these incursions? Just someone being on another universe does not seem to be what causes the incursions, because like I said, Black Widow from, the end-all be-all universe is now in a new universe where their Black Widow died. So, let me know down in the comments if you have any kind of answer to that. By the end, America did what we all expected her to do, and she showed Wanda her children of her being evil, and then Wanda has like a mental breakdown because her children are scared of her, and she says, you know what, I'm not evil anymore, and proceeds to, kill herself. But as anybody knows in comic book law, we did not see her body dead, so she's probably not dead. I mean, even if we do see her body dead, that is not necessarily indicative of if she's going to stay dead. So Elizabeth Olsen was great as Wanda too, so I really don't believe they're going to get rid of that character. I am positive that we will see her back, at least in some forms, even if she's, still dead in this universe. But there's so many new Wandas out there that I'm sure in the multiverse we'll get a better one this time. Finally, at the end, we see Doctor Strange now has a third eye, and he's probably inching a little more evil now that he's touched the Darkhold, and he is also probably a little bit more powerful. So I think that's going to be his biggest obstacles to overcome in the future Marvel movies and content and all that other stuff. But Clea shows up at the end, and I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but whatever, I'm just going to say it. In the comic books, Clea is Doctor Strange's wife, which is why I think they had that whole goodbye scene to Dr. Palmer, because he's going to move on and marry his comic book wife, or at least get in a relationship with this Clea. You know, they're going to go, she says, there's a bunch of incursions, we got to go stop them. So they're going to, you know, go on their little adventures and have fun. And she's probably going to actually be the one that ends up stopping him from turning completely evil. That's kind of where I see this headed in Doctor Strange's future. Alright, I think I've talked about this movie enough now. So overall, I really did enjoy it. And though I do think there were some things that could have been better or explained a little bit more on, and it was, you know, a little light on character development side, especially since these Disney Plus series we're getting these days are, you know, 6-8 episodes, which is a significant amount of time to do more character development. And I just don't think they hit like all of the characters developing in this movie as well as I would have hoped to. But overall, again, I did love the movie and I enjoyed it, had a great time. So let me know, did I miss anything? What did I miss, I should say, because I'm sure that something in there I did not touch on or forgot or didn't see. So let me know down in the comments. But I'm Keegs, and you know, I'll catch y'all next time for some more Marvel content.